Hey there, Jake here from CVP. Today we're going to go through all of the questions we've seen about the Canon C400 since it was announced. First off, Canon saw the video and have noted that the sensor size they gave us pre-release was slightly wrong. This is the correct size. Next, how is the SDI latency? We can see that looking across the test here, between the different numbers, that there is roughly 90 milliseconds of delay to the LCD and 140 milliseconds to the SMHD Cine 5 connected via SDI. This isn't too bad and won't really be too noticeable when shooting. How long does an ABB take? As with previous Cinema EOS cameras, you have the ability to execute black balances in camera, which is called an ABB in the menu. This is helpful to have and run when you have a considerable ambient temperature change, or when you notice issues such as your black video signal changing or stuck pixels. Running the process on the C400 takes about 40 seconds. When running, it looks like it's cycling through all of the base ISOs, which might be a part of the reason this process takes the time it does. How many audio tracks can be recorded simultaneously? You can record up to 4 channels, and this is how you can define the inputs depending on what you need in the camera. This menu will change with the Tascam CA XLR2D-C attached to, which could be a good option to consider if you need 4 XLR inputs. If recording in H.265, does the audio drop from 24 to 16-bit like it does in the C70? When in the camera's H.265 mode, you have the option to go between AAC 16-bit 2-channel and LPCM 24-bit 4-channel, which you can define in the menu here. How is it to shoot vertically with the C400? It's definitely possible, but you will need some rigging to make it better. For example, Bright Tangerine make their left field kit, which allows you to mount the C300 Mark III for vertical shooting, so I could presume something like this will come out for the C400. The UI can also be rotated for vertical shooting, as with previous Cinema EOS cameras. You can even set this to a custom button, which is nice. This means that once it's rigged, it's a decent experience to shoot with. Could a user get rid of the C400 monitor and use an external SDI or HDMI monitor and get the full menu overlays? Yes, you can. Here's a SMHD monitor attached, showing that you can feed the menu to an external source. You can also set it to clean if you need to as well. Is there no proxy or sub-recording on the SD card in slow and fast mode? Unfortunately not, but I can also see that Canon has enabled dual recording, just not in RAW. Will external video be possible with the USB-C monitor out? Currently, unfortunately not. I tried a few different USB-C monitors, but this is something that I have fed back to Canon, as I think it could be an awesome thing to open up to third parties, even if they aren't going to make accessories that use it themselves. Where will it sit in the rental market? I think some rental companies will buy a few for their fleets, but how many will really come down to if the camera gets demanded by end users and producers. If it does, the rental market will buy them up just as they have with the FX6. Can you use EF lenses? Yes, you can. You just need the right adapter. Canon has their own adapter, which is what I would recommend unless you want one with the option to use rear filters or a locking EF mount. Canon is thinking about creating a locked EF adapter similar to the PL1 they've released with this camera. How is the weather sealing and the cooling system? As with previous Cinema EOS cameras, the C400 has been designed to be used in pretty extreme conditions, both hot and cold. You can control the fan in the menu system here. Where does the C400 sit in their product lineup? Canon has positioned the C400 in between the C300 Mark III and the C500 Mark II, so it's not meant to replace anything really. But I think naturally all 3 of these cameras will be compared and contemplated between, as they do offer a lot of the same, but with a few key differences. If you want to keep up with the latest and greatest kit, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to buy anything you see in this video, or any other kit for that matter, head over to cvp.com where our experienced team is waiting to help you. Can the USB-C provide PD power out? Unfortunately not. Will the Nissi Athenas mount because of the ND system? Yes, you just need to make sure you use the RF versions of the Athenas or the correct PL adapter. How is the usability and ergonomics of the camera? We covered this a little bit in our previous video, but if you've used any other Canon Cinema EOS cameras this size before, you'll feel right at home here. The buttons on the body are laid out really well, and the extra ones on the grip are very useful as well. Once you get used to it, you'll be able to use the camera very fast in unpredictable environments, or rig it up for more controlled ones. I do wish that there was some more control though on the top handle, now that we have electronic pass-through to the body like the FX6 or FX9 have on their top handles. You can also easily redefine the buttons to get functions you find yourself using a lot, including the ability to cycle between the different base ISOs, which is very handy. What are the codec file sizes? Here are the data rates of a few of the different file formats and frame rates. How well does the RS4 Pro handle the C400? We actually mounted the C400 onto the RS4 Pro in our previous video, and it handled the camera with the 50mm 1.2 absolutely fine. One nice thing with this as well is because the LCD and grip now use USB-C, you can easily relocate them onto the gimbal itself if you don't want them on the camera body. Is the C400 easy to match with the C70 and C500 Mark II, or any other model for that matter? Well, here's the same shot with the C400 and C70 side by side, where we've tried to match them as closely as possible. Let us know what you think is which in the comments, and we'll put the answer at the end of the video. How is it used in a more cinema workflow production? The C400 has been designed to be a versatile camera, so you can use it in small run and gun configurations, but it will also rig up well for studio and outside live broadcast productions, and also more cinema style shooting environments. This was also the case with the C300 Mark III and C500 Mark II. You just need to get the right accessories for it, which I'm sure brands will certainly be creating for it. Is the noise performance significantly better in XFAVC with noise suppression turned on versus RAW? And yes, shooting in RAW will give you noisy but very detailed images. But that's the case with most cameras that shoot RAW. When shooting in XFAVC, you can dial in the noise reduction and get much cleaner results straight out of camera. The C400s we've been using are also not full production cameras and are not running final firmware, so performance could improve from here. What is the battery life? With the supplied BPA60N, you can expect these kinds of runtimes. How did the internal mics sound? They are good enough for scratch mics, but that's about it. Can you attach the EU expansion units from the 300 Mark III and the 500 Mark II? No, you cannot. Can the camera do time-lapse and stop motion? Yes, it can. Here's the details in the menu. Is the grip USB-C cable sturdy enough? We haven't had any issues with it during our time shooting, but I do think this should be a locking USB-C like the monitor one is. Are there any auto exposure tools? Yes, you can enable auto ISO and aperture, and then tweak the settings of your auto exposure in the menu. Could you share your export settings for YouTube? Yes, here they are. When the camera is powered via the 4-pin XLR, is the 12-pin Hiroshi usable? Yes, the only instance that it won't work is when used with the regular A30 or A60 batteries. If you power it via the 4-pin XLR or with the new N-rated batteries, everything will work fine. Can the camera shoot 4K 120 in full frame mode? Yes, it can, but not in RAW or XFAVC intra-frame. For this, you have to be in XFAVC long op or any of the other XF modes. You can shoot 4K 120 RAW, but only when in the Super 35 crop mode. One thing that we noted in our review is the manual focus experience of the RF mount lenses. In the menu, you can actually choose whether an RF mount lens has a linear or non-linear focus throw. How long that throw is will depend on what lens you are using. For example, the 50mm f1.2 has a throw of almost 360 degrees when set to linear, which is massive. It would be awesome if the rotation was definable in the menu, like what Panasonic offers with their mirrorless cameras. There were a few questions about the autofocus from our first video. One of them was whether there was face autofocus tracking in the camera's slow and fast mode, and yes, there is, but only between your project frame rate and 60p. Above or below that, you lose autofocus, which is a shame. I wish you had full autofocus across all frame rates. We will be doing a comparison video with a bunch of cameras soon, and autofocus will be part of that, so make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. Anyway, let us know if you have any more questions about the C400 down below. And if you like the video, please give it a like and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our awesome upcoming content. And thank you so much for watching.